44%. That's the share of Gen Z workers who admit in a survey on the record to actively sabotaging their company's AI rollout. Not passively resisting, not dragging their feet, sabotaging. Feeding bad data into tools, refusing training, deliberately producing low-quality output to make AI look worse than it is. And it's not just Gen Z. 29% of all employees say they've done something to undermine their company's AI strategy. So let's look at what the usual diagnosis sounds like. Employees are change resistant. Gen Z doesn't want to work. We need more training. Every one of these sounds reasonable, and every one of them is wrong, or at least they're treating a symptom as the cause. Because buried in that same survey is a number that tells you actually what's going on. 26% of employees who are sabotaging AI say they're doing it because the company's AI strategy is poorly executed. And let that land. A quarter of the people undermining your AI rollout are telling you directly that the problem is the rollout itself. It's like if a restaurant had a 30% return rate on a dish and the chef blamed the customers for not liking food. At some point you have to ask, is it the customer or is it the recipe? And this gets worse when you look at who's setting the strategy versus who's living with it. The Wharton School, along with a research group called GBK Collective, has been running a multi-year study on enterprise AI adoption. They just published their latest findings this week. On one side, you've got executives. Nearly 2/3 say they've become much more positive about AI in the past year. They're excited, they're investing, they see it as a strategic advantage. On the other side, the managers, the people who actually implement these tools inside real workflows under real constraints with real deadlines, they see a completely different picture. They feel unsupported, they see friction, they carry the operational burden. And the gap between those two, it's widening, not closing. So you've got executives who feel great about investment and frontline managers who feel crushed by the implementation. Those are two different realities in the same organization. And here's the part that should really make you uncomfortable. 60% of executives say they'd consider cutting employees who refuse to adopt AI. Meanwhile, only 14% of enterprises have a clear AI strategy. Put those numbers in the same room. Executives threatening consequences for non-adoption. Employees saying the strategy is broken. And only 14% of organizations having a strategy at all. That's not a workforce problem, that's a leadership problem. And it shows up in a very specific place. Okay, so here's where this gets really interesting, where I think most of the analysis out there completely misses the point. Every organization with an AI rollout has a dashboard, and every dashboard has some version of the same metrics. Seats activated, prompts per user, login frequency, token consumption, all green, all trending up, all completely useless for answering the question that actually matters, which is anyone getting better at their job because of this? I think of it like measuring a gym membership by how many times someone swipes their card. You can have 90% of your employees swiping every week and still almost nobody actually getting stronger. And that's exactly what the research shows. KPMG and researchers at the University of Austin spent 8 months analyzing 1.4 million AI interactions from roughly 2,500 professionals. Not surveys, not self-reports, actual conversation logs. The headline finding, about 90% of employees were using AI regularly. Only about 5% were using it in a way that generated differentiated value. That's an 18-to-1 ratio between adoption and sophistication. And most organizations can't see it because they're measuring the wrong dimension. So what does sophistication actually look like? The researchers identified specific behavioral patterns that separate the top 5% from everyone else. And I've built a scoring framework around it called the Conversation Sophistication Score. It measures 5 dimensions. First, interaction depth. Are you having multi-turn conversations that build on each other? Or are you firing single prompts and accepting whatever comes back? Second, task complexity. Are you bringing genuinely hard problems to AI or just using it for things you could do yourself in roughly about the same amount of time? Third, and this is a big one, iterative reasoning. Are you refining outputs, pushing back, asking the model to check its own logic, or are you accepting the first draft as the final answer? Fourth, breadth of application. Are you applying AI across multiple domains of your work, or are you stuck in one use case? And fifth, fluency signals. Are you adapting your approach based on what you're trying to accomplish? Actually, let me put it another way. The difference between the top 5% and everyone else isn't how often they use AI. It's what they do after they get the first response. Most people accept the output. Sophisticated users treat the output as a starting point. They treat AI as a reasoning partner, not an answer machine. They delegate complex, multi-step tasks with clear constraints. They accept AI across a diverse set of task types, and they sustain longer working session interactions. Here's the part that caught me off guard. The most sophisticated users weren't the youngest employees. They were above manager level. Comfort with AI and competence with AI are not the same thing. Comfort's about familiarity. Sophistication is about judgment. So now let's bring this full circle. Why are 44% of Gen Z workers sabotaging AI rollouts? Why are executives and managers seeing completely different realities? Because the measurement is broken. 86% of organizations don't have a clear AI strategy. Without a strategy, there's no definition of what good AI use looks like. So they measure adoption, the thing that's easy to count. It ignores sophistication, the thing that actually matters. Employees feel the pressure to use AI without the support to use it well, and resistance becomes the rational response to being measured on activity instead of quality. That's not sabotage. That's feedback that your dashboard can't capture. The organizations getting this right aren't doing anything exotic. They're solving problems in the right order. Strategy before tools, governance before licenses, behavior metrics alongside activity metrics. AI without operations is just a demo. If you want to score your own AI conversations using this framework, I built a playbook and a Claude skill that walks you through it. The link is in the description below, along with the full scoring spec. And if you want to understand why AI making work cheaper actually creates more work, not less, watch this other video instead. It'll change how you think about everything I just covered.